You know, we did. We started in the basement,
Yeah.
where the only sound was the vacuuming.
Yeah.
Welcome to Mind Control.
Of the old lady upstairs.
Okay.
I got really cheap.
Yeah.
No windows. We had no idea what time it was.
Yeah.
No idea what's
At
going
the end
on
of the world,
outside.
we wouldn't know.
There was a hailstorm one day, and our cars were getting totaled, and we had no idea.
Yeah.
How long have you worked for these guys?
13 years.
With these guys?
Yeah, 13 years.
That's crazy. Really?
Yeah. I knew Eric long ago, and I just come back from my mission in Brazil.
Yeah.
And he comes and talks to me on Sunday. He says, "Hey, I just started this new company, and I also just had twin girls, and I also just quit my other job."
Yeah.
And
You're like, why are you bringing this? You're laying a lot on me right now.
and yeah, come on in. I was like, yes, for $10 an hour, I'll help you with
Thanks.
And that, we did. We started in the basement,
Yeah.
where the only sound was the vacuuming
Yeah.
of the old lady upstairs.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Just you two staring at
It
each
was
other?
just us two.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, totally, it was like a storage room
Okay.
that I got really cheap.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No windows. We had no idea what time it was.
Yeah.
No idea
At the end
what's
of the world,
outside.
we wouldn't know.
But yeah, that's how it started.
Did you see the vision from it? You know, obviously a young kid just kind of being like, look, I don't want my whole life to be in a storage room. And then Eric's busy like, no, it's going to get better, I swear. Or not, I don't know. It's just like...
Even you're still going to school, right?
I was still going to school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eric's always had that spark about him, that
Yeah.
excitement and that creativity. The first year's business plan was just a big hockey stick. It was like,
Yeah.
there were no numbers on the graph. It was just like this,
It's easy to draw graphs.
And,
You're not putting numbers
I'm a creative person. I'm a designer.
So I didn't quite catch the full vision then, but
Yeah.
it was great. By the time I finished school and then my master's degree,
Yeah.
voltage was starting to pick up. I remember my wife and I looked at different opportunities, and I mean there were definitely bigger and more corporate type opportunities.
No offense.
But we looked at
Totally.
voltage and felt like we were going somewhere. Honestly, we prayed about it. We just felt like, let's just give it a shot.
Yeah.
Let's go. Came on full time. That was 2013. At that time, we had maybe seven people. It was tiny.
Yeah.
That was a big boost for Voltage because I remember thinking, Steven's going to get headhunted and
Picked up.
thanks, Google.
Yeah, thanks.
Like whatever.
Thanks for pointing
and
out,
So the fact
yeah.
that he was like, we want to, that was fuel on the fire.
I know it wasn't that long ago, but if we're talking like 13 years ago, there was a big difference between where we're at now, social media wise, and where we're at e-com wise. There's a huge difference to where if you're trying to build it up, what were some of the things you're like, we need to set these as pillars?
One thing I realized early on is that we can't be good at everything, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of creative and traditional agencies that they're steeped in advertising and paid media and all those things, and they never really get digital, right? And I knew that like if we were going to grow, we had to really do that one thing.
Yeah.
So we did. We put our flag down. We're like, we're only digital, and then inside of that, we went even further. Remember this?
Yeah.
We're like, hey, we're not going to do Drupal anymore. We're not going to do Magento. We're not going to do Ruby. We got really narrow, and we said, hey, these are the technologies we're going to focus on.
Yeah.
But within 5 years, we went from maybe 2 developers to 12.
Oh,
maybe.
dang. Yeah, okay, that's
know?
for real
Yeah.
then.
And the creative team grew, and the content team grew. Everything grew.
Yeah.
I think there were 2 aspects around that. One was e-commerce. We can talk about that in a moment. One
Yeah.
was our mission to be a force for good.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
Eric
has that been a through line with Voltage basically the whole time? I mean, maybe not in those words per se, but if you guys
Yeah,
have been like,
that's a
look,
good way of
we don't
putting
want to
it.
hate our, we want to actually make a difference if we can.
Yeah, we hadn't formalized it for a few years, right?
Yeah. But it's funny, like I even remember starting Voltage. I remember thinking I want to create the agency I want to work at. Aside kind of encompasses those values of what you value. Family was always important, like Steven said, I had 6 kids at the time. A lot of people were having families and I felt that was just important. Like, you
Forgot you had 6 kids.
Yeah,
at the time.
6, I know. And I felt like growing the business, we can do good for others. And Steven was really the one to like kind of latch onto that and say this should be our mission. And we started putting it out on our job descriptions. It's going to be a force for good.
Yep.
And work here versus, do you want to code?
Yeah.
Do you know how to do
What do you think about
that?
coding? Yeah.
Then it's like anyone
Can you
else,
do
but it's
this?
like, hey,
Do you
we
like
do believe
Drupal?
that we're making a difference. We have a different culture.
It just made a lot of sense, and we looked at our clients too, and we're like, oh my gosh, like the people that we work with,
Yeah.
a lot of their brands have similar elements of how they treat their employees. All of our interviews since then, for the last however many years, I do a 15-minute interview with everyone, a screening at the very beginning, And really, the only thing we talk about is culture. Force for Good.
Okay.
I give, real brief, what do you do? And I say, hey, our mission statement is to be a force for good. We believe that means leaving our clients better than we found them. They're real people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This means leaving our coworkers better than we found them. They're real people.
Yep. True.
And
it's weird that that's a statement that needs to be said, but it's very true, right? As opposed to just basically we just want to get out and get the money,
Yeah.
Want to get that money.
And I think a lot of people want to do good and that they are driven by that, but by solidifying it and saying it, it just sets that standard.
Sure.
And then when
From day
decisions
one,
come, well, hey, remember this is what we're about.
And it's not that Force for Good is the right mission statement, right?
Yeah.
It's just the one that we came up with, and our particular lens that we look through and explain in the interview process. Some people hear that and they're like, yeah, okay,
Big
right?
deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're like, and that's fine, and we
Right.
don't hire them. And
Sure.
then some people are like, yeah, like this really resonates with me.
Right.
And I think this is going to work great for me and my family, and
an actual
and
opportunity.
we move on.
Agencies like this, you have to flex and pivot where you're like, hey, let's focus on digital because everybody's going to need that. That's a direction that we went to.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, so if we can do that as well as being a force for good, then great, that's even better. So how do we continue to basically push that to go the next thing we want to be?
We applied it to kind of like our employees,
Yep.
which was great.
Something
But then we
that-
started, like Steven saying, seeing our clients, like Chipotle, they had a mission around food and like
Cultivate a better world.
cultivate a
Yeah.
better world.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And Jason Whiting, when he came out and was
Oh.
working with us, he's like, that needs to be your second slide. Because in our pitch decks, we're this many people, we're here. And,
Here's
and I
about
just
our
remember doing that in pitches.
Yeah.
And we still do, because we're like, hey, this is our mission. And we align with clients that also want to make a difference. So I think there's alignment.
You see that
in this
impacting
business.
as opposed to
Yeah.
just straight on
It
to
helps.
it. Like, yeah.
It helps for sure.
That's cool.
I think to your question,
Yeah.
I think that Force
My
for Good
question.
element, right?
Yeah,
That mission will stick with us for a long time,
Yeah.
and it is flexible enough that it allows us to pivot, and it has to be flexible enough because 13 years ago we were building WordPress websites
Yeah, yeah.
for a blogger, and today we're building Shopify sites for e-commerce. And, things change all the time.
Sure.
Kind of wherever the trends are taking us, like
Right.
I think we're well equipped, but that mission has to hold us together.
A mind control exclusive.